Hi everyone, it's Heather Dawson, Family Specialist with Partners for Pediatric Vision. Today, let's talk about the different types of tips that blind and low vision individuals use on their white canes. I have a couple of different white canes here, and they each have tips on them. This, for instance, is a rigid fiberglass cane that has a glide tip on it. The glide tip is a metal flat tip that can move when individuals are walking, and it helps with them to understand when the terrain changes because it gives auditory feedback since it's a metal tip. Some individuals do like this tip as well because it doesn't get snagged in cracks on sidewalk. The difference between these two canes is that this cane is a telescoping cane, whereas this is a rigid fiberglass cane. It does not telescope. This cane has a rolling marshmallow tip, meaning that this marshmallow tip spins when they're using it and it gives feedback. The rolling marshmallow tip is a very common cane tip for many blind and low vision individuals. Many people prefer to use this tip, but some don't like to use it as much because it can get stuck in cracks or just kind of get stuck when you're walking on a sidewalk in the sidewalk crack. Many blind and low vision individuals or cane users do like to use this tip though. I've met many people who prefer to use this tip no matter if it's indoor or outdoor. There's also something called the rollerball tip, which is a white ball that goes on the end of the cane. It spins just like the marshmallow tip, but it's a ball shape. Many individuals like to use the rollerball tip because it doesn't snag in cracks and they get a little more feedback while they're walking on a sidewalk or in other places. There's also something called the jumbo roller tip, which is similar to the marshmallow tip, but it looks more like a disc or a donut. Individuals really like to use the jumbo tip because it's better in uneven terrain and helps them recognize when the terrain changes and it doesn't get snagged in cracks. It also just depends on the individual and their personal preference. Some individuals prefer to use a pencil tip, which is meant to use for the tapping technique where you would tap, tap, tap instead of either gliding or having the cane straight out in front. Pencil tip is just what it sounds like. It's a thin tip that looks similar to a pencil. There's also something called an ID cane for blind and low vision individuals, but it's not used for mobility. It's used so other individuals around that person know that that person is blind or visually impaired. It does not have a grip and it doesn't necessarily have a tip because it's not used to put on the ground. The individual would hold that cane and walk around with it out in front of them so that other individuals know that they are blind or visually impaired. Say this person was trying to cross a street, they would hold out their ID cane in front of them and cross the street so that other people would know that they are blind or visually impaired and know to let them cross. Let's talk about the difference between these two canes. This cane has a hook system, where the marshmallow tip has a hook on the end that attaches inside the cane onto the elastic that holds the cane together. When you telescope this cane, it has a piece of elastic inside. At the very end, pull this back together. There is a hook on the end of this marshmallow tip that would hook onto that elastic. This cane has a slip-on marshmallow tip where it just slips onto the end to make it a little bit easier to install for the individual. It does still telescope, so it has elastic, but the tip doesn't rely on hooking to the elastic inside the cane. The good thing about slip-on tips is that they're easy to install, and if they get stuck in something and you yank a little too hard, it doesn't break the elastic within the cane. The difference between these two canes is that this is a child's cane and this is an adult cane. This cane also uses a slip-on marshmallow tip. Adult canes can also have marshmallow tips or hook tips. Some of the children's telescoping canes also have hook tips or slip-on tips. For example, this is a child's cane as well, but this uses the hook system rather than a slip-on tip. When learning to use their white canes as a child, most blind or visually impaired children will start with a rigid cane. It may not necessarily be this cane, but rigid canes give children more feedback as they can feel the feedback through the rigid cane more than through a telescoping cane. Many children also don't know how to undo a telescoping cane, so they stick with a rigid cane. As children get older, they can go on to a telescoping cane. It has less feedback as it's not solid or rigid, but they still do get the necessary feedback needed as the individual using the cane. My child prefers the rolling marshmallow tip, but we also alternate between a rollerball tip and a jumbo rolling tip. It all depends on the blind or low vision individual's preference. Let us know if you have any questions about different cane tips that blind or low vision individuals use on their canes, or let us know in the comments your child's favorite white cane tip. Thanks for watching!